A very warm good morning to the dignitaries, faculty members, and all the students present here. It gives me an immense pleasure to extend a warm welcome to all on behalf of BK College, Amalagiri. Today, I, CP Varsha of 3rd DC Economics, on this pleasant and joyful morning, feels privileged to host the ICSSR SRC sponsored one day national seminar on unlocking economic potential in 21st century, harnessing demographic dividend in India. With a young and vibrant population, India stands at the crossroads of immense growth, and it's time to explore how we can transform this potential into prosperity for all. Let's begin this enlightening day with a soulful prayer song setting the tone for the national seminar. Now, I invite Siana of 2nd PG Commerce for the prayer song.
പുലരിയിൽ വിരിയും സുഖം സന്ധ്യയിൽ പൊഴിയും ധൃതം ക്ഷണികമെങ്കിലും അനുപമം അഴകിലവയൊരുക്കിടും പരമജ്ഞാനമേ ദൈവമേ കൈവണങ്ങി നമിപ്പു ഞാൻ പുലരിയിൽ വിരിയും സുമം സന്ധ്യയിൽ പൊഴിയും ധൃതം ഉഷസുണർന്നു വിളിക്കയാൽ ഉണരു മനസ്സേ സാദരം കനലെരിഞ്ഞൊരു രാവൊടുങ്ങി കനിവു പോലിത പുതുദിനം ഇന്നലെ ഇനി ആകുലം പുലരി മഞ്ഞല പോൽ ഉരുകി മറയും ഉദയശോഭ ഉടയവൻ ചൊരിയും ശുഭം പുലരിയിൽ വിരിയും സുമം സന്ധ്യയിൽ പൊഴിയും ധൃതം ക്ഷണികമെങ്കിലും അനുപമം അഴകിലവയൊരുക്കിടും പരമജ്ഞാനമേ ദൈവമേ കൈവണങ്ങി നമിപ്പു ഞാൻ.
It is now my distinct honor to invite our esteemed Head of the Department of Economics, Ms. Dia Philip, to deliver the welcome speech.
Good morning, one and all. Honorable Chief Guest of the day, esteemed resource persons, respected Vice Principal, beloved faculty members, delegates from other colleges, dear students, and other distinguished guests. It's my privilege and honor to welcome you all to the two-day ICSSR-sponsored national seminar, Unlocking Economic Potential in 21st Century, Harnessing Demographic Dividend in India, organized by the Research and Postgraduate Department of Economics. The theme, Unlocking the Demography, could not be more timely or significant as India stands on the cusp of transformative growth with vibrant, dynamic structure. Realizing the potential requires unification, analysis, and innovative policies, and also collective efforts. That's what we aim to foster over the 2 days seminar. Let me move on to my duty of welcoming everyone. I'm extremely glad that Dr. Sister Manju Jacob, our Vice Principal, is presiding over the function. She has been the pillar of support during the 5th cycle of NAC accreditation and gaining A+ score. Welcome, dear Sister Manju Jacob, for the program. The chief guest of the day, Dr. Johnny Johnson, Professor and Dean, Faculty of Management Sciences, Kendra Study Center, Mahatma Gandhi University, Kottayam. With several international and national seminars and publications and presentation, he is Honorary Director, Kendra Study Center for Planning. He has a BFSc and a PhD and industrial experience. I take this opportunity to welcome our dearest guest to the program. We have here with Dr. Anil Chandran S., General Secretary, Indian Association for the Study of Population, IASP. He is also the Assistant Professor, Department of Demography, University of Kerala. On behalf of each and everyone present here, dear sir, we welcome you to the program. I take this opportunity to welcome and appreciate Dr. Sister Deepa, who is behind the two-day national seminar. She has taken a lot of toil amidst all the busy schedules for the program. Dear Sister Deepa, welcome. We are glad that we have delegates from across the nation, from Bharatiyar University, from PSD College, from Basilius College, KE College, Alfonso College, Madras University, St. Thomas College, Pala. So we are extremely happy for your participation. Dear delegates, welcome to the program. I take this opportunity to welcome the heads of departments who have arrived here. I also take this opportunity to welcome all the faculty members who have come to attend the program. And let me take this opportunity to welcome all my dear students who have arrived for the two-day national level seminar on unlocking economic potential in 21st century, harnessing demographic dividend in India. And I wish this will be a fruitful time, a fruitful occasion, and a history in the college. Let me welcome each and everyone once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss, and I also welcome Dia Miss to this seminar. A true leader has the confidence to stand alone, the courage to make tough decisions, and the compassion to listen to the needs of others. Dr. Sister Manju Jacob, our respected Vice Principal, is a true leader in all ways through the constant guidance and supports in all our endeavors. Now, I request Dr. Sister Manju Jacob to deliver the presidential address.
Ms. Dia Philip, Head of the Department of Economics. Dr. Johnny Johnson, Dean, Faculty of Management Sciences, MG University. Dr. Anil Chandranas, General Secretary, Department of Demography, University of Kerala. Dr. Sister Deepa K. Thomas, Research Guide in the Department of Economics. Participants from various universities and institutions, teachers and students. നായക്ക് A+ കിട്ടി. ഏതാനും ദിവസങ്ങൾക്കുള്ളിൽ എക്കണോമിക്സുകാർ അറേഞ്ച് ചെയ്ത ഈ നാഷണൽ സെമിനാർ എന്തുകൊണ്ടും അർത്ഥവത്തും ഈ കോളേജിന്റെ മേന്മ വർദ്ധിപ്പിക്കുന്നതുമാണെന്ന് പറയാതിരിക്കാനാവില്ല. പ്രിൻസിപ്പലിന്റെ അഭാവത്തിൽ പ്രിൻസിപ്പൽ അത്യാവശ്യമായ ഒരു ഇന്റർവ്യൂ നടത്താൻ വേണ്ടി ന്യൂമാൻസ് കോളേജിൽ പോയിരിക്കുന്നതാണ്. എനിക്ക് അത്ര സുഖമൊന്നും ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല. ശാരീരിക ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുകൾ ഉണ്ടെങ്കിലും ഇവിടെ ഇന്ന് ഈ ഇനോഗ്രേഷൻ ഫംഗ്ഷനിൽ ഞങ്ങൾ രണ്ടിൽ ആരെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടാകണമെന്നുള്ള നിഷ്ഠ കൊണ്ട് ഇവിടെ എത്തിച്ചേർന്നിരിക്കുന്നതാണ് ഞങ്ങള്. നമ്മള് ഈ കോളേജിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് നമ്മൾ വലിയൊരു ഉന്നതമായ ഒരു നിലവാരം പുലർത്തുന്നതിന്റെ ഒരു അടയാളമായിട്ടാണ് നമ്മുടെ ഈ നാക് അക്രഡിറ്റേഷനിൽ നമുക്ക് കിട്ടിയിരിക്കുന്ന ഉന്നതമായ ഗ്രേഡ് പോയിന്റ്. നമ്മൾ A++ കിട്ടുന്നതിന് ഒരു 0.01ന്റെ കുറവാണ് നമുക്കുള്ളത്. 3.50 കിട്ടിക്കൊണ്ട് നമ്മൾ A+ന്റെ ഏറ്റവും ഉന്നത ഗ്രേഡ് പോയിന്റിലാണ് എത്തി നിൽക്കുന്നത്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ തുടർച്ചയായി NIRF റാങ്കിങ്ങിലും നമ്മൾ ആദ്യം 2 വർഷത്തിന് മുൻപ് 89th പൊസിഷനിൽ 2-3 തവണയായിരുന്നു. തുടർന്ന് 100 to 150th റേഞ്ചിൽ തന്നെയാണ് നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ കോളേജ് ആയിരിക്കുക. അതായത് കുറെ നാളുകളായി ഈ നാടിന്റെ സാംസ്കാരിക വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ ഉന്നമന രംഗത്ത് വളരെയേറെ കാഴ്ചകൾ വെച്ച ഒരു നല്ലൊരു കോളേജ് എന്ന ഒരു ബഹുമതി നമ്മുടെ കോളേജിന് ഉള്ളതിന്റെ അടയാളമായിട്ടാണ് നമുക്ക് ഈ അക്രഡിറ്റേഷൻ പ്രോസസ്സിലും NIRF റാങ്കിങ്ങിലുമൊക്കെ ഈ ഉന്നത നിലവാരം പുലർത്താൻ സാധിക്കും. ഏകദേശം 62% ഓളം ആൾക്കാര് ഇതുപോലെ അതായത് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ഈ ഏജ് ഗ്രൂപ്പിൽപ്പെട്ടവരാണ്. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ആൾക്കാരുടെ പൊട്ടൻഷ്യൽ വർദ്ധിപ്പിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി നമുക്ക് എന്ത് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും എന്ന് ചിന്തിക്കാൻ ഈ സെമിനാർ നമ്മളെ എല്ലാവരെയും സഹായിക്കും എന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുന്നു. അതുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട ചർച്ചകളാണ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പേപ്പർ പ്രസന്റേഷൻസ് ആണ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ റിസോഴ്സ് പേഴ്സൺസിന്റെ ക്ലാസ്സുകളാണ് ഇവിടെ നടക്കാൻ പോകുന്നത്. അപ്പം ഈ വിഷയവുമായി സംബന്ധിച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ഇതുപോലെയുള്ള ക്ലാസ്സുകൾ എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു നിങ്ങളുടെ യുവജനങ്ങളായ ഈ പ്രായത്തിലുള്ള കുട്ടികൾക്ക് വളരെ സഹായകമാകും. കാരണം നമ്മളുടെ പൊട്ടൻഷ്യൽസ് നമുക്കറിയാം, ഒരു നല്ല എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ വേണം, സ്കിൽ ഡെവലപ്മെന്റിനുള്ള സാഹചര്യങ്ങൾ ഉണ്ടാവണം, ഇപ്രകാരമുള്ള ഹെൽത്ത് കെയർ, ഇതെല്ലാം ഇതിൽ പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ടതാണ്. എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ, ഗുഡ് എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ, സ്കിൽ ഡെവലപ്മെന്റ് പ്രോഗ്രാംസ്, ഹെൽത്ത് കെയർ, ഇതെല്ലാം ഈ ഏരിയകളെല്ലാം ഇത് ടച്ച് ചെയ്യും. അപ്പൊ ഇവയിലെല്ലാം കൂടി നമ്മളുടെ പൊട്ടൻഷ്യൽ വർദ്ധിപ്പിക്കുക, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങളെ കുറച്ചുകൂടെ എക്വിപ്ഡ് ആക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ് സമഗ്രമായ ഒരു ഇന്ത്യക്ക് ആവശ്യമായിരിക്കുന്നത്, യുവജനങ്ങളുടെ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ കഴിയുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ അപ്രകാരമുള്ള ഒരു നല്ല ഇൻപുട്ട് ഈ സെമിനാറിന് സമ്മാനിക്കാനാവട്ടെ എന്ന് ആശംസിക്കുന്നു. മാനേജ്മെന്റിന്റെ പേരിലും പിന്നെ നമ്മളുടെ കോളേജിലുള്ള മുഴുവൻ പ്രിൻസിപ്പലിന്റെയും സ്റ്റാഫിന്റെയും ഒക്കെ പേരിലുള്ള എല്ലാ ആശംസകളും നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും നേരുന്നു. ഇവിടെ വരുന്ന റിസോഴ്സ് പേഴ്സൺസും ഇവിടെ വരുന്ന പാർട്ടിസിപ്പേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പല ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷനുകളിൽ നിന്ന്, യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റികളിൽ നിന്നും എത്തിയിട്ടുള്ളവരെയും എല്ലാം ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഈ സെറീൻ ക്വയറ്റ് ക്യാമ്പസിലേക്ക് വെൽക്കം ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് നല്ല 2 ദിനങ്ങൾ എല്ലാവർക്കും ആശംസിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് നിർത്തുന്നു. നന്ദി.
Thank you, sister. It is now my great privilege to invite a distinguished academician and leader, Professor Dr. Johnny Johnson, Dean of Faculty of Management Sciences at K.N. Raj Study Center, Mahatma Gandhi University, Kottayam, to deliver the inaugural address. Welcome, sir.
Respected President of the function, Vice Principal Dr. I forgot the name. The principal's name is Sister Manju Jacob. The resource person of the day, Dr. Anil Chandran. The head of the department is Divya Philip. Sister Deepa. All the other dignitaries who have come from other colleges from across the nation, students who have come from other colleges, and students of this college. Very warm good morning to all of you. So, I just remember Sister Deepa, who had called me a few days back to come here for this seminar. She requested me to come here for a session, and suddenly this changed to come here for the inaugural function also. So that was, in fact, an opportunity for me. And that being because I was very closely watching this college, because adjacent to this college is our university, and very recently there was a NAC accreditation team who had come here, and the college was ranked a very good score, A+. So in fact, I was expecting A++, to be very frank. So just by a slip, they got A+. So all the arrangements, because when you enter the campus itself, you could find the change, because this very hall itself, I think the fresh smell of this particular hall has not lost so far, because it is still there. I think probably this could be the first function which you're organizing after the NAC. So, and this is the first function in this newly renovated hall. Probably that could be the reason. So that way, in all sense, it's a good sign. And to be here for the first seminar after the NAC accreditation itself is an occasion for us to cherish. So first of all, let me congratulate the college management for having done a very good job in the NAC accreditation, because you have scored a very good place amongst the colleges. Another other important thing which I noticed here, because I was entering to a college which is all women's college for the first time. I have never entered into a college which was a women's college. I had participated in some of the conferences earlier that was in Trivandrum, Government Women's College, but I think there were a sizable number of men inside the seminar hall. But here, when I entered, I couldn't find, except for maybe less than 10 numbers, very few are there. So in fact, that itself is a very strange experience for me. Anyway, it's nice to see all the good faces, very smiling faces from across the country. The topic which the department has chosen for this seminar is very interesting. Now, I don't know whether this is the right time to discuss, because are we still at a time when we are in advantageous position or not? I don't know, because I have been reading a lot of general newspaper articles about the demographic dividend, and somewhere I have read that we have not capitalized on this dividend, on this advantage, and we are lagging behind. That is the story that which most of the scholars and experts have written. I think Dr. Anil Chandran is there. He is from the demographic department. He'll be able to say more about these things and all. But I was very curiously reading an article which happened to be there a few days back. I don't know whether you have noticed this or not. It was in the Hindu on December 6th, because the moment this particular topic came to my mind, I was just reading that article. It was speaking about something which is happening in Kerala. The article, that is the editorial page, was speaking about a precarious situation which is happening in Kerala. It said the infant mortality rate in Kerala is increasing. I don't know whether you have read this article or not. It's very strange. Now, in real terms, the infant mortality rate is not increasing. The problem is the birth rate is decreasing. Because when you calculate the infant mortality rate, it is number of births by number of deliveries which are taking place. The number of deliveries have slowed down over the last few years. Now it is saying because of the denominator is the number of deliveries which are happening. Because of the reduction in the denominator, obviously the mortality rate will be very high. It is said somewhere in the year 2014-15, the infant mortality rate in Kerala was somewhere around 18% or something. It gradually increased to 25% something. And today, if you go by the actual figures of this year, it says it could be somewhere around 30%. And again, the statistics says the birth rate 15 years back was somewhere around number of actual births were somewhere around 5 lakhs plus. It got reduced to 3 lakhs, and this year it could be somewhere around 2.5 lakhs. So the gradual reduction in the number of births is actually because the other figure is reducing. The actual deaths, infant deaths, is reducing, but because the denominator, which is the number of actual births, when it is reducing drastically, obviously the rate is very high. This is how. Now, when this article speaks of, after reading this article, I was curiously thinking as to what would happen if the same trend continues. If the same trend continues for the next, say, 15-20 years, what will happen to Kerala? Already we are having severe problem. We don't have a working population, young working population. Although this particular demographic dividend speaks about the working population, the share of working population is very high. I don't know in Kerala whether it is true or not. Because it says the working population is from 15 to 64 years. That is what Sister has highlighted. It's true. The working population share, is it really increasing in Kerala? It's a big question. If the working population in Kerala is increasing, then probably we need not bring people from other states. Today, the major working population in Kerala is coming from other states. Of course, it has got to do with any type of job. If you look at the total jobs, total workload, you will see that this is how it is happening. So this is posing a very, maybe a big question. Almost the same question is posed by most of the developed nations across the world. While we speak about Human Development Index to be the best, on par with the developed nations, I'm talking about our state. While we speak about, sometimes we say it is far better than most of the developed nations also. Our HDI is much more than other nations also. So for us, we are in a very strange situation. We can't equate ourselves with the Indian larger scenario. In India, the situation is totally different. So if you look at how to actually harness these resources, we can't have a single policy for India, because India has got, maybe if you look at the 8 developed states in South India, you will find the situation is different. We are dependent more of the people from other states. If you look at some of the other states, the three categories which we can formulate: first 8 states, the second 8 states, and then the remaining states. So the policy decisions which are actually decided for the last 8 states cannot be actually enforced upon the first 8 states. So there is a big problem. So how to actually harness these resources, strategies need to be devised in that particular manner. So how are we going to formulate these strategies? Of course, the government of India, the state governments, they all have put forward their views, their ideas, their policies when it comes to harnessing these resources, young population. But are we really progressing the rate at which we are supposed to progress? Because if not, the dividend which you are talking about, it will never remain to be a dividend. It could probably lead to a disaster later on. Already people are talking, saying that this dividend, this advantage could be there till the late 40s, 2040s. After that, we are going to be an aging society. India as a whole. Already Kerala is an aging society. So these are the important questions which need to be addressed in seminars like this. And I think perspectives from different viewpoints can come forward, and we can hear the viewpoints of various experts and people who are doing research in this particular area. So that is in brief, which I feel this seminar actually will give us after the end. So I think this being the inaugural session, I don't want to really speak at length because other speakers are there here. They can also throw some light upon what they view, what they think about this topic. How are we going to deal with these situations and all? Anyway, I'm really grateful to the organizers for having invited me for this conference to actually speak about my thoughts on this topic. I congratulate the department, the college, and I also declare this particular seminar inaugurated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's my honor to invite Professor Dr. Johnny Johnson and all the distinguished guests on the dais to please come forward for the lamp lighting ceremony. It is now my privilege to invite Dr. Anil Chandran S., General Secretary of the International Association for Study of Population and a distinguished academician from the Department of Demography, University of Kerala, to share his insightful introductory remarks. And I also request all the distinguished guests to please take seated among the audience.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the trouble. Respected Dr. Johnny Johnson, our chief guest, Sister Manju Jacob, the vice principal, Sister Deepa, Miss Dia Philip, all faculty members of this department. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak on this occasion. In fact, first of all, I would like to congratulate the college for securing a mighty A plus for the NAC accreditation. As said, it could have been A plus plus. Probably there is some, a bit of unluck probably, because 0.01 is not something that is very difficult to get. Anyway, I think next time we will get it. That's what I can tell you. So this, I congratulate the department for taking up this particular topic for the seminar on harnessing demographic dividend in India. So because I'm a demographer, I won't talk so much about the economic aspects of it, but I'll talk a bit about the demography of how, what is demographic dividend and how we can actually harness the fruits of demographic dividend. We all know that India is a very diverse vast nation, we are about 2.4% of world surface area. Surface area wise, we are not too big, but we have a huge population of 1.45 billion, 145 crores, which makes it about 17.5% of the world's population. And we are the world's most populous country. Till recently, we did not have this title. 2023 April, we got the title of the most populous country in the world, surpassing China. You all know that yesterday also there was a news saying China's population is declining. So they are like reduced by about 1 million, 1 million plus every year they are declining. So they won't now catch up. So we will continue to be the world's most populous nation for the at least for the next century, next 100 years. We have, this is a huge country with 6 lakh villages. 6 lakh villages are there. About 8,000 towns are there. 4,635 ethnic groups are there. Okay. We have 655 religious or other persuasions. We have several religions, several other persuasions. We have 121 languages and 270 mother tongues. See, within one language also we will have different dialects. So having it a very vast and diverse nation. The demography is also peculiar. I'm only talking about India. I'm not talking about Kerala. Sir was actually talking about Kerala, saying that the demographic dividend is already passed. We'll talk about that a bit later. But whatever I'm talking about is about India, not about Kerala. India is this. It is saying, sorry, India is the most populous country with over 1.45 billion people. In 2023, it became the most populous country. We have a moderate growth. In fact, we were growing very fast, but recently our population growth rate has declined drastically. And at present, our total fertility rate or average number of children per woman is about 2.0. Okay, 2.0 is a very good figure because by 2.1, we say replacement level is achieved, which means that over a period of 4 decades, 30, 40 years, our population is going to stabilize. So that is the advantage of having a figure of less than 2.1. Sir has already mentioned about the youthfulness of the population. We are 50% under the age of 25. So this is a very vibrant nation. Our median age is very low compared to other neighboring countries like China. So we are youthful population. At the same time, we have the risk of an aging population. 10% of the people now in India are aged, means they are 60 years or above, and it will be increasing in the future. So by 2050, about 22% of our population of India will be 60 plus. Kerala already has about 15% of our population older, 60 and above, and by 2050 it will be about 30%, which means that 1 in 3 persons will be an older person in the coming future, in the near future. So that's a huge thing. Our density of population, because we are a small nation in terms of the proportion of area, our density is actually very high. 464 people live per square kilometer, and there is significant regional variations in density. For example, states like Bihar, West Bengal, Kerala are more densely populated, whereas states like Uttar Pradesh and all, they have very sparsely populated in terms of density. We have a rapid urbanization, means that urbanization is actually increasing. As of 2021, about 35% of our population lives in urban areas. So it means that, see, over a period of time, probably this figure 35% will become about 70%. And then people living in rural areas will be much lesser. And agriculture, food production will become an issue unless we actually introduce technologies into our agricultural system. Sex ratio is actually not very favorable to females still recently, but the current figures of 2023 says we are having a favorable sex ratio for females, 1,020 females per 1,000 males. Life expectancy is increasing. We all know that our people live longer these days because of our technological advancements in the healthcare sector, and also people are educated, they are well informed. So the life expectancy is increasing, and this figure will go up in the future. Rural to urban migration is actually highly prevalent because of Employment opportunities, educational facilities are all available in the urban areas. So many people migrate from rural to urban areas. International migration is also prevalent. You all know that our people work in US, Canada, Gulf countries and all, and we get a lot of remittances out of that. Our literacy rate is about 77.7% as of 2011 census, which is going to increase further. There is a moderate gender gap also. Only 70% of our women are literate. So rest 30% are illiterate. Still, it is 2011. Things have improved, must have improved a bit now. Because we did not have a census in 2021. That is the reason we are still talking about 2011. Large rural urban interstate disparities in income, education, and health indicators. You all know that. We are sitting in the southernmost part of India. We are having very high, very high levels of health status, having very good health systems and all those. So, but if you go to little other side, the northern side of it, starting from Andhra Pradesh and all, we see very, very bad systems of, healthcare. There are three major religious groups are there. As I said, there are a lot of religions, and most of them are Hindus, and Muslims are 14.2% currently. If you look at some of the figures, we have actually, India is also improving a lot. We talk about Kerala, saying Kerala is very advanced in terms of demography, but India is also improving. See, 1971, our birth rate, crude birth rate was about 36.9, means that 36.9 births were happening for every 1,000 population, which is now almost half. 19.5 is the percentage according to SRS figures of 2020. Crude death rate is also declining. It was 14.9 in 1971. It has come up to 6 now. This is probably the lowest levels we can reach. Further, we can expect an increase in crude death rate because aging is actually increasing. Everybody has to die at some point of time. So over a period of time, the death rate will be increasing in future. We are talking about crude death rate. It's death rate in the overall population. Infant mortality rate, 129 was the figure in 1971, means that for every 1,000 live births, 129 people were dying. Okay, 129 children were dying. Most of it, 60% of it was during the first 28 days. Still now that figure is right. Of the 28%, 60% happens in the first month of life. That is the reason we delay the, in the past, even now we have this Nuligatta function that happens only after 28th day. That is the reason, because the first 28 days, there's a high chance of mortality, and we did not want to get that mortality into our families. So that is the reason we delay this Nuligatta function to 28 days. Okay, so it is still happening. So, but we have reduced it further to, so much. 28, the figure will be much lower in the coming years because our systems are functioning very well these days. So infant mortality rate. What Sir was talking about is actually maternal mortality rate. I'll come to that. Total fertility rate, the average number of children per woman, you see in 50 years back, just 50 years back, the figures were 5.2. 5.2 children were there for every, for every woman. On an average, there were 5.2 children. That has come down to 2 now in 2020. Okay, so we have improved on the total fertility rate. Having, now what will happen when you have lesser number of children? The quality of children will be much high. We will be able to provide them with good education. We'll be able to provide them with good health care facilities. So the next generations to come will be much more, probably better individuals in terms of their health, in terms of educational levels and things like that. So that is one indication of how we can actually become developed. So we are talking about, Viksit Bharat 2047. This is one area where we have some, scope, or some, what do you call it? We can actually think this is one of the variables which is actually, helping us achieving that. But look at this total fertility rate by education. If you look at the total fertility rate, this is NFHS. If you go to children, women who have no schooling, no education, the total fertility rate is 2.8. But when they have education, the fertility rate is very low. So education is one of the key components that actually facilitate having lower fertility rates. Okay, so that is very key. And this is life expectancy, but this is little older figures. I could not actually, I was doing it yesterday night. I could not get the recent figures. This is up to 2006. We are about 67 points. Currently, we are at 70. Okay, our average life expectancy is at 70. Okay, so this is improving over a period of time. Literacy rate. See, this is census figure. 1951. Look at the lowest figure, 8.9 or 9% was the literacy rate in 1951. When we were getting our independence, only 7% of the women were able to read and write. 7%, which is very, very low. But currently, what is the scenario? It is 2011. It is at 65%. So women's education has improved a lot, and that is resulting in all those developmental parameters that we are talking about. So literacy rate and education is actually improving. Maternal mortality ratio. This is where Sir was actually talking about. Kerala, we had a figure of 20 in 2018. 2018 it was 20, and now they say the calculations of the health department say it has gone to 29. I have reservations about that. In fact, the planning board people from planning board called me because they were very frightened to see the figures, saying it is going up. But I think there is some issue with that. Probably when we have the final calculations, final reports out, it may not be that different. I mean, it is not going to go up drastically from 20 to 29 or something like that. And all these figures are actually within a confidence interval. So for maternal mortality and all, the issue is that we are talking about per 1 lakh live births. So this is basically when we saw, say, 97, it's 0.0097. So that is the figure. So the confidence interval will be the 20, 29, all will be with, they all will be lying within the same confidence interval. So I don't think that may not be an issue. I told them that you don't need to worry about it so much because this is only unpublished figures. When the final figures come, we'll look at it. And there was a talk about lowering fertility. 5.5 lakhs was in 1980s. And the 3.5 lakhs that we are talking about is actually now 2020. So it is about 40 years gap they're talking about. That cannot be actually applied to smaller duration. So this is actually a case of 40 years that fertility is declining, and the decline that they're talking about in terms of maternal mortality is between 2018 and 2023. So that there is some issue with that. I think we have to wait and see what are the exact figures. Dependency ratio. This is where the issue of demographic dividend comes in. We know, earlier speakers have already talked about the working populations, 15 to 59 years, and we have two dependent populations, 0 to 14, the children, and 60 plus, the older people. And we call it young dependency ratio and old dependency ratio. You can see that young dependency ratio, the figure on the top, 68.4 in 1971, it is slowly coming down. It is slowly coming down. When we reach 2036, the figure will be about 31. Okay, so this is projected figures based on 2011 census. 2016 onwards, it is projected figures by the RGA only, Registrar General. By the time, see, the old age dependency was much less because there were very little population, very less old age people. That figure is actually going to increase, and it is increasing. From 8.8, it has reached 23. But the next figure, this is the total dependency ratio. This is where the demographic dividend comes in. If you actually combine the young dependency and old dependency, 77.2 was the figure in 1971, which means that there was a huge dependency. 77% of the people were depending on the working population. But that is coming down. And see the lowest figure, 53.7, that is in 2031. And 2036, the figure has started increasing, which means that we have the lowest figures for India in dependency at around 2031. So this period from 2020 onwards till about 2040, 41, 46 is the time when we have the demographic dividend available to India. What is demographic dividend? It is nothing but a huge proportion of people who are ready to work, available there. If you want to make that a kind of advantage, what we need to do, we need to actually provide them with education, provide them with skill development, provide them proper employment so that they all will be gainfully employed, and then they will all be productive. And because there are less people depending on them, they'll be able to save a lot of money. So that savings can be used for further growth of the country. So that is what is demographic dividend. But there is some conditions. So this demographic dividend is a window that is available for a period of over 3 to 4 decades. During this time, if we plan things properly, if we plan it properly and implement, then we can actually harness the demographic dividend. We will be able to get fruits of the dividend that is available. I'm okay now on time. Okay. So these are demographic dividend of some countries. This is a figure which I took from UNFPA. So the dotted lines in black color is India. So you can actually see after 2031, the figure is going to increase. There is a projection up to 2061, which says after 2041, the figures are going to increase. And look at some of the figures of red, the reddish colors, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, it is already over. See, by 2021, they had a very low figure by 2021, so by the time we thought we are now at 2025, probably the window of this demographic window will be closed very soon for states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, and all, West Bengal, those kinds of states. But there are other states like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, where we are still having a very young population, where the window will be opening after some time, probably another 2 decades, the window will be opening. So as Sir rightly pointed out, it's not one policy that will fit for all, because there are issues. See, for example, for Kerala, Tamil Nadu and all, the window is about to close. So we don't need to now think about the providing employment opportunities. Obviously, we need to do that. But there is another bigger concerns that we have in terms of population aging, in terms of in-migration from other places. So those kinds of things we have to address. So we'll look at some of those things. So basically, the demographic dividend is the potential growth in a country's economy resulting from a change in the age structure of its population. The smaller share of children enables greater investment per child, particularly for healthcare, nutrition, education, and skills. The future entrants to the labor force will have better productivity, which is likely to boost per capita income. This can also lead to increase in savings that can be used for new investment for added returns. However, the realization of these benefits is not automatic. We have to plan properly and implement. Considering the huge population size and profound demographic diversity in India, a differential planning approach is needed. It is not like one single policy which can be helping everyone. So differential policy imperatives are necessary. So we have states at various levels. As I said earlier, we have states at various levels. For example, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Delhi, Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, Punjab, West Bengal. These are the states where the window will be closing probably in a decade's time. Somewhere it is already closed. States where the window will close in a decade, okay, probably after 10 years it will be closed. Karnataka, Odisha, Himachal Pradesh, Maharashtra, Assam, Jammu and Kashmir, Uttarakhand, Haryana. These are the states which are now in the midst of demographic dividend. Whereas Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, these are the states where the window is yet to open. So we have some time to wait. We can actually plan now for those states so that they will be able to achieve harness demographic dividend in a better way. If we plan for the states where the window will close very soon, we need to strengthen the social and health security for the aging population. We have to strengthen social and health security for the aging population, because we have a huge problem of population aging there. At least about 15 to 17% of the people are aged. We need to provide them with livelihood. You need to provide them with social security measures like pension, living arrangement becomes a problem. All those issues we need to take care. innovating employment solutions for women, promoting skills and entrepreneurship, income and assets for women. See, women's engagement or participation in labor force is very, very important. As of now, there is a huge gap between men and women in terms of work participation. So we need to actually improve upon that. So we need to provide employment solutions, especially for women, so that they will also come into the fora. They will be they will also be contributing to the economic scenario of the country. And older women is another major issue. When we talk about old age, it's not just one single issue. Single mothers or single adult women living alone in a household. If you look at 2011 census, there are 1 lakh plus families in Kerala. 1 lakh plus families in Kerala where only one individual is there who is old age, but it is a woman. So this is a major problem, and taking care of them, we actually see a lot of issues, a lot of cases of assault on single women, single in the sense single individual families, single households. So that is a major issue. So we need to evolve also migrant friendly policies. Migrant friendly policies are required because now we cannot think about our own people working in the states where the window is already closing. I came to this college. The security man, we asked him, we have come for a seminar, and he talked in Hindi saying "Seedha jana hai." So that's the way. See, everywhere we have this guest laborers working, which is a kind of scenario we cannot avoid. So their sanitation, health, housing, and social services are very much essential because they actually bring a lot of health issues with them, because they are coming from states where all those communicable diseases are still prevalent. Cholera, for example, we have cases of cholera in Kerala just because of guest laborers who are coming, because they come with the issue, with the issue of cholera. So we'll also have it. So this is very, very important. We have to have sanitation, health, housing, and all, and retraining in emerging employment opportunities. These guest laborers also need to be retrained on labor opportunities that are coming in future. More importantly, elderly care, because we don't have people here. Young people are not here. They are all working in US, Canada, or other countries. So these older people need to be taken care of. Who will do it? We don't have anybody here. So guest laborers need to be retrained on that. And there should be a holistic, equitable city planning, including age and gender friendly environments. See, everywhere we know there won't be ramps, there won't be, access will be a major issue for older people. So we need to actually take care of that. All those are, very, very important. If you plan for the states where the window will close in a decade, we have 10 years time available. So we have to empower young people. That is what we need to do. We need to provide education, skill building, and creating employment opportunities for young people, especially women. Strengthening special and sexual and reproductive health programs with human rights approach, focusing on information, delaying age marriage, and ensuring access to spacing methods for family planning, particularly to young couples. So we need to provide them with all required family planning facilities. Discrimination need to be addressed. Addressing discrimination with continued focus on improving sex ratio at birth, life skills education for boys and girls. Life skills education is very, very important. These days, you see suicides are increasing. So life skill education becomes very, very important. And ensuring secondary education, addressing violence, ensuring safety of girls and women in public spaces. We have a lot of issues with regard to that. Preparing for an aging population, because it's going to be aging in a very short time. So preparing for an aging population in small families with intergenerational bonding, evolving support systems for migrants, accessibility of health services, housing, transportation, and decent working conditions need to be ensured for the migrants. The states where window is set to, I'll close probably in 1 or 2 minutes. Tapping the demographic advantage, investing in education, especially for girls, and creating opportunities for skill building, ensuring universal secondary school for girls. Now, still there is an issue of enrollment rates. In many of those states, the enrollment ratio, especially to higher education, is actually very low. So we need to ensure life skill education for boys and girls, gender sensitive beliefs, attitudes, and practices, building skills, incomes, and assets for girls and women, expanding voluntary access to family planning services, through better availability and outreach to meet the unmet demand, addressing maternal and reproductive health needs, improving child survival through neonatal care, immunization, and nutrition, because those places, infant mortality rate, child mortality rates are still a problem. So we need to address those issues also. So addressing harmful practices, demographic dividend can also be a disaster, as sir rightly pointed out, unless we do plan properly. So addressing harmful practices, gender bias, sex selection, son preference and child marriage, and ensure safety for girls in public spaces, eliminating all forms of sexual coercion and violence against women and girls, engaging men and boys for promoting positive norm changes towards achieving gender equality, strengthening support systems for migrating populations, and provisioning support systems for family members left behind. Um, so these are some of the things that we can actually plan for, harnessing demographic dividend. Overall, I would say that India has an advantage of demographic dividend in the coming decades. Okay, but states are at varied levels regarding the period when the window is available. States like Kerala, where the window is about to close, issues like population aging and increasing NCDs will prevail. States where the window is still open, providing required education and skill development will help harnessing the demographic dividend. If India and its states don't plan the strategies well, the demographic dividend will become a demographic disaster where people will not have proper employment. They will be entering into all those antisocial activities. So that becomes a major problem. So let us hope that the government's plan and implement programs to empower women for generation of new jobs and for overall development of youth, so that a proper development that can actually happen where human development prevails. I think I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With gratitude, I request Dr. Sister Manju Jacob to present the memento to Professor Dr. Johnny Johnson, Dean, Faculty of Management Sciences, K.N. Raj Study Center, Mahatma Gandhi University, Kottayam. I would also like to request Dr. Sister Deba K. Thomas, convener of this national seminar, to present the memento to Dr. Anil Chandran S., General Secretary, Department of Demography, University of Kerala. It is with great pleasure that I now invite Dr. Sister Deba K. Thomas, Assistant Professor and Research Guide, Department of Economics at BK College, Amalagiri, and also the convener of this national seminar, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good morning to all, respected chief guests, guest of honor, vice principal, faculty members, research scholars, and students. It is my privilege and honor to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks at the inaugural section of this two-day national seminar on unlocking economic potential in 21st century, harnessing demographic dividend in India. First and foremost, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our esteemed Chief Guest, Professor Dr. Johnny Johnson, Dean, Faculty of Management Science, Cambridge Study Center, whose presence has added immense value to this occasion. Your insight on how India can tap into its demographic potential have truly set the stage of meaningful discussion over the next 2 days. We are truly privileged to have you with us here today, despite your hectic schedule. Thank you, sir. Let me express our sense of gratitude to our guest, Dr. Anil Chandran S., General Secretary, Department of Demography, for his gracious presence and enlightening remarks, which have enriched this occasion. Your perspectives on the importance of demographic dividend vibrate with the theme of this seminar and inspire us to develop deeper into this critical subject. Thank you, sir. Although our respected principal, Dr. Minnie Thomas, could not be with us today due to unavoidable circumstances, we acknowledge and deeply appreciate her support and guidance in organizing this seminar from day one. Thank you, Minnie Miss. I also express my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Sister Manju Shekhar, Vice Principal, for your unwavering support and presence of this occasion despite of her health challenges. Thank you, dear sister. I take this opportunity to offer deepest gratitude to Mrs. Diapili, Head of the Research and Postgraduate Department of Economics, for your reliable guidance and leadership in organizing this seminar and the persistent effort that has led to the growth of our department as a whole. Thank you, dear Miss. As the coordinator of this seminar, I feel privileged to stand before you and extend my heartfelt gratitude to my faculty members. Your support, guidance, and encouragement have been instrumental in the planning and execution of this event. It is your wisdom and experience that have inspired and motivated me throughout this journey. Thank you, my dear teachers. Our heartfelt gratitude goes to the sponsor of the seminar, Indian Council of Social Science Research, Southern Regional Center, Ministry of Education, Government of India, for their generous support. Your contributions have played a pivotal role in making this seminar a reality, and we are truly grateful for your commitment to the advance of knowledge and research. A word of gratitude goes to all the participants, especially who have traveled from various corners of the country to participate in this seminar. And I extend my thanks to all the attendees from across the country who have taken the time to be part of this event online. Dear friends, your active engagement and participation are the lifeblood of this seminar, and we look forward to the stimulating discussions and exchange of ideas here today and tomorrow. Lastly, a big thank you to all the students and faculty members of different departments for your enthusiastic participation. Once again, thank you all for joining us. Wishing everyone productive and insightful seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Now it's time for tea break, and the next session will begin at sharp 11:30. Please be on time. Tea is being served outside. Please feel free. We move on to the first technical session, chaired by Ms. Dia Philip, Head of the Department of Economics, BK College, Amalagiri. Our esteemed resource person for this session is Professor Dr. Johnny Johnson, Dean, Faculty of Management Sciences, KN Raj Study Center, Mahatma Gandhi University, Kottayam.
Warm greetings, one and all. നമ്മുടെ ഫസ്റ്റ് ടെക്നിക്കൽ സെഷൻ ഇവിടെ ആരംഭിക്കുകയാണ്. പരിചയപ്പെടുത്തിയതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഡോക്ടർ ജോണി ജോൺസൺ ഇസ് എ ഹോണററി ഡയറക്ടർ KN Raj സ്കൂൾ ഓഫ് എക്കണോമിക്സ്, മഹാത്മാഗാന്ധി യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി. നമ്മൾ മോർണിംഗ് സെഷൻസ് തന്നെ സാറിനെ പരിചയപ്പെട്ടതാണ്, ഒരിക്കൽ കൂടി നിങ്ങൾക്ക് പരിചയപ്പെടുത്താം. സോ he has a vast experience in different diaspora, I must say. BFSc തമിഴ്നാട് വെറ്റിനറി ആൻഡ് അനിമൽ സയൻസസ് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിൽ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ചെയ്തതിനു ശേഷം he had his MBA at Pondicherry Central University, also completed his MPhil and PhD. PhD is from Kannur University. Had taken training from IIM Kozhikode and Center for Development Studies in Trivandrum. With over 17 years of academic experience, starting from 2002 onwards, in the Department of Management as well as various other departments. ഇത് കൂടാതെ he has an industrial experience of Maxworth Orchard India, Seat Tires, and also Reliance Petroleum. Then regarding the publications, with 83 plus publications in journals, at various conference proceedings, almost over 21, in chapters in edited books, more than 6, and 2 books, and also a PhD. He has produced 6 PhDs. With various training programs and resource person, he has a vast experience in academy and industry. ഇന്ന് വളരെ ലേറ്റ് ആയിട്ടാണ് ഞാനൊരു കാര്യം അറിഞ്ഞത്. UGCയുടെ നാക് പിയർ ടീമിന്റെ ചെയർമാൻ ആയിട്ട് കൂടെ ഉള്ള സ്ഥാനം നമ്മുടെ ജോണി സാറ് വഹിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. ഒരുപക്ഷെ ഇതിനു മുമ്പ് അത് അറിഞ്ഞിരുന്നില്ല. ഇറ്റ് വാസ് ക്വൈറ്റ് ന്യൂ. So we shall now listen to Unlocking the Economic Potential in the 21st Century, Harnessing Demographic Dividend in India. Over to you, Dr. Johnny Johnson. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Respected chair for the session, Ms. Dia Philip, the coordinator, Sister Man. I just always forget sister's name, Deepa, because Dia Philip, Sister Deepa, okay, all from D. The resource person, morning's resource person, Mr. Anil Chandran, all the teachers, all the faculty members who have come from nearby colleges and from other states also, and my dear students. See, actually, the problem which I often face is whenever I go for any of these functions, they take my biodata from the website. And my biodata is not updated. So that is one problem which I often say, because most often when after the welcome is done, I need to correct them saying that, look, there is a small correction there. Now also in spite, I think she has taken the biodata from the website, which is, I've never updated my website biodata. Now, with over 17 years, he said, because I started in 2002, which means almost 21 years now in academics, plus my PhD scholars have completed 15 PhDs under me, and these are some of the corrections which I wanted to say. Anyway, so that apart, so the topic which we are going to deal again, because I think since the seminar has got only one major topic, I think that requires an in-depth understanding as to what this is all about. So often we try to understand from here and there, because we have been listening to a lot of speeches in the area of demographic dividend. What is this actually? How are we going to exploit this opportunity which is coming our way? What needs to be kept in mind? As I said in the beginning, the morning session itself, there are a lot of articles which come, because I happen to learn more about these things, not by actually glossing through the books and other things, but from the daily newspapers which I come across, especially from the articles of newspapers. That is a big resource which all of us need to explore, especially the newspaper, the open page, the editorial columns which come. So I happen to read these things regularly, especially Hindu and one of the business newspapers, which is Economic Times or Business Standard. Now, I was just telling you about what was said in the December 6th edition of the editorial column in the Hindu. Now, if you happen to read the recent Saturday edition of the Hindu, there was another news which was there. I just recollected. It was talking about some other situation which we are encountering. It has got something to do with the demography also. So that's why I just wanted to share with that also with you. That was speaking about a unique problem which Kerala society is facing. The article was talking about the Kerala men finding difficulty in getting or maybe brides for marriage. I don't know how many of you have read this. The Kerala society, especially Kerala men, were finding very difficulty in getting brides. And then to please understand one thing. This is one state in the country where the female population is more than male population. This state in the country. And this state is having a problem wherein men are finding difficulty in finding their life partner. Now, what is happening? So, the article was talking about a particular village in Kozhikode, wherein men have started getting their life partners from adjoining states of Tamil Nadu and from Karnataka. And people are, because article was talking about, they are very happy. The girls or the brides who come from other states, they are very happy. They are more than willing to come down to Kerala, get married to Kerala men, and settle down. They say they are taken care very well. Now, this is again because while we are talking about demography, while we are talking about skilling them, education, all these things, this situation comes because of another important reason. You know why? What it is? The female population of Kerala is much more educated than the men population. That is a changing scenario which we are facing now, which is visible in most of the universities, colleges, everywhere. If you look at, and that is changing even across the country. If you go to IIM Kozhikode, which is a premier institute in the country, there the female student ratio is slightly higher than that of men. This was not the case 30 years back. I remember when I did my MBA, in a class of 45, we had only 4 girls, remaining all were boys. It was a central university where we had crowd from across the country. We had only 4 girls and remaining were boys. Now the situation has changed. Now today, when I walk into Pondicherry University, my own department, the situation is different. 70% are girls, remaining 30% happen to be boys. So this is leading to another peculiar situation, which again I want to quote the example of Kerala, wherein girls in Kerala, once they get educated, they don't want to get married to a person who is not educated. They want at least a person who is at least having a degree or a postgraduate degree. Now, this situation has forced them to be either single, or else find somebody else, their own choices. So men are left in the lurch now. So what the men have to do, they are looking for, they are more into these jobs, menial jobs, electricians, masonry job, other things and all. They started getting girls from the other states. So it is not only the guest laborers who are coming. Now you'll find in future, you'll find a different group of people also coming into the state. And in this particular village, the village authorities have taken the initiative to train these girls in local languages, local culture. There are sessions organized free of cost. They are upkeep because that village has to survive. The men in this village has to survive. This is a story. If you happen to take the Saturday's edition of Hindu newspaper, please read that. A very interesting story. So that has got something to do with the demographic change which is happening. So with that, let me just start. I thought that small story is very interesting so that's why I thought I'll share that with you. Okay. Now, today in this session, I'm not going to speak much. Rather, I've got something I thought I'll share a video with you. A video which speaks more about the demographic dividend. It is a video which I sourced from other place, but it's a very interesting video. I think if sound can be provided, it will be great. Can you get sound also in this room? Sound below. Yeah, it's come. Okay. So this video, can just start this video. It's very interesting. I'll just start. So it explains, because so far we have been told what is demographic dividend. Demographic dividend speaks about the high share of workable people who are workable group among the non-working group, especially people in the age group of 15 to 64. So I'll just start this video. You can just see, because it takes around 15 minutes. You can just, it speaks about Zambia and two countries. Sound is not coming.
With so much positive development underway, such as increases in policymakers are talking excitedly about harnessing the demographic dividend for economic growth in their nations. With so much positive development underway, such as increases in education, improvements in health, and reduced poverty, many people believe that accelerated economic gains are right around the corner. But with almost 2 out of 3 Africans still living on less than $2 per day, much remains to be done. The demographic dividend is the accelerated economic growth that can happen as the population age structure changes, together with strategic investments in health, education, economic policy, and governance. But by no means is a demographic dividend automatic. The starting point is the population structure and how many dependent children there are in relation to the older working age population. As the number of births each year declines, the young dependent population grows smaller in relation to the working age population. With more workers and fewer young people to support, a country has a window of opportunity for accelerated economic growth known as the demographic dividend. Let's take a closer look at changing population structures in 2 countries, Thailand and Rwanda. We are going to start with Thailand's population pyramid in 1960. Each layer of this diagram is an age group, and the width of each layer represents the proportion of the population in that age group. It looks like a pyramid because when couples have many children, more people are added each year in the younger age groups at the base of the pyramid. In 1960, more than 40% of Thailand's population was under the age of 15, and women had an average of 6 children. During the 1960s and the decades that followed, mortality rates declined, desire for smaller families increased, and investments in family planning enabled rapid declines in fertility. By the 1990s, women were having an average of 2 children each, and as a result, population growth slowed. By 2010, Thailand's population was larger, and the age structure was transformed with a smaller population of young people. This change in the age structure helped accelerate economic growth. Today, Thailand's population is dominated by working age adults who will be part of a productive labor force for many years. Let's now turn to Rwanda, a country that has made great progress over the last decade in improving health, lowering fertility, and increasing economic growth. Like much of Africa today, Rwanda's age structure is young, with 40% of the population under the age of 15 and an average of 4 to 5 children per woman. Even with Rwanda's progress, the age structure will stay young for several decades. In 2030, if fertility continues to decline to close to 3 children per woman, 35% of Rwanda's population will be under the age of 15, a higher percentage than in any country, including Thailand, that has realized a demographic dividend. In Rwanda and in many African countries that have not made similar progress, getting from here to here requires 3 key investments. First, improve child survival. In many African countries, more than 1 of every 10 children dies before they turn 5. Improving child health services allows more children to survive and leads to couples desiring smaller families. Second, space births and prevent unintended pregnancies. Currently, more than 50% of African women who don't want to become pregnant are not using a modern method of contraception. Increased investments in family planning will prevent unintended pregnancies, leading to fewer births per woman. Third, educate girls. Throughout Africa, only 1 out of 3 girls of secondary school age is enrolled in school. But when girls stay in school, particularly through secondary level, they are more likely to delay early marriage and childbearing and have healthier families. Together, these investments lead to lower fertility and mortality and enable the population structure to change, opening a window of opportunity for accelerated economic growth. We can see how declining fertility is related to economic growth in countries around the world on our Trendalizer graph. On the left axis, we have the average number of births per woman, which we call the fertility rate, going from 0 up to about 8. On the bottom, we have the gross national income, or GNI per person, ranging from 0 over to about 40,000 US dollars. This is standardized for what a dollar can buy today in each country. The color of each bubble indicates the region. Starting with the red, we have East Asia and the Pacific. Orange is Central Asia and Europe. Yellow is for North and South America. Green is the Middle East. Light blue is for South Asia. And the dark blue is for Africa. The size of each bubble represents the population size of that country. So, bigger bubbles have bigger populations. The year is 1980, and through the middle you can see a trend. As the average births per woman declines, the income per person rises. But we see that the dark blue African countries are clustered toward the back of this trend, with higher levels of fertility and lower levels of income. Let's look at a few of these countries. In 1980, fertility in these countries ranged between about 5 and 8 children per woman. Income was between 200 and 2,000 US dollars per person. Although we are only focusing on a few countries, this represents the range of the majority of African countries in terms of fertility and income in 1980. Let's bring back the rest of the countries and see what has happened since 1980. You can see the trend over time that countries are lowering fertility as they move down on the graph, and at the same time, income per person is increasing as they move toward the right. When we come to 2010, the world is a very different place. We see that the African countries have made a lot of progress, though many are still clustered toward the back of this pack. But a few African countries have made strong progress in both lowering fertility and increasing income per capita. So let's go back and look at 2 of those, Botswana and Tunisia, to see what happened over time. In 1980, in Botswana, women had an average of 6 children each, and the income per person was almost $1,600. In Tunisia, fertility was slightly lower, just below 6 children per woman, and income was slightly higher, almost $1,900 per person. Let's see how things have changed. You see, income increased right away in Botswana, and although there are some bumps along the way, fertility is falling very rapidly in both countries. Although Botswana's rich natural resources have enabled economic growth, it is Botswana's sound economic policies and social priorities that have led to gains for development, and the country is internationally recognized for good governance and low corruption. Tunisia was one of the first countries in Africa to adopt a policy to reduce fertility in order to accelerate social and economic development. Both Botswana and Tunisia have long prioritized education for both boys and girls and have steadily invested in access to healthcare. Comparing today with where these countries started in 1980, we see that families have 2 or 3 fewer children. Income has increased, such that families in Tunisia have an average of 5 times the purchasing power, while in Botswana, families have 9 times the purchasing power compared to 30 years ago. These dramatic changes at the family level represent significant growth and development for the entire country. Learning from the successes of countries like Tunisia and Botswana, we can see a pattern of investments which are necessary to harnessing the demographic dividend. Although lowering fertility and changing the population structure is the necessary first step, investments in health, education, economic policies, and good governance allow the changing age structure to be transformed into accelerated economic growth. A healthy population contributes directly to higher economic growth and poverty reduction. Improving children's health, such as through immunization and nutrition programs, sets the stage for healthy adulthood. Ensuring that children have adequate nutrition from pregnancy through age 2 can have a profound impact on their ability to grow, learn, participate in the workforce, and rise out of poverty. Yet, 1 in 5 children in Africa is moderately or severely underweight. As children become adolescents, ensuring continued access to health services, including reproductive health and family planning services, helps them to delay childbearing until they are ready. It will also help them avoid HIV and sexually transmitted diseases, enabling youth to stay in school and transition to healthy, productive adults. Promoting healthy lifestyles keeps adults productive and participating in the workforce and economic growth of the country. At the same time, investments in education are critical to seizing the opportunity of a healthy workforce. Investments in schooling and expansion of secondary education will ensure that a country has a skilled workforce for future economic growth. Right now, many countries struggle to provide quality primary schooling. But as a population growth slows, many African countries will have more resources per child for education. Governments must seize this opportunity by expanding access to education. Educational systems must also be responsive to the labor needs of an expanding economy. These investments in education can have quick returns for individuals and families. Each year of schooling is associated with an increase in wages of up to 10% or more. And improving the education of young people today means a higher quality workforce in the future. With additional training and skills, young people will be equipped to compete in the global economy. Yet, dramatic variation in secondary school enrollment across Africa suggest uneven opportunities for achieving a dividend. In West Africa, only 27% of secondary school-age girls and 37% of boys are enrolled in school. But in Southern Africa, 92% of girls and 88% of boys are enrolled. Improving secondary school enrollment, especially for girls, will accelerate progress towards the dividend. But to fully realize the benefits of the investments in health and education, they must be accompanied by supportive economic policies that create jobs for today's large population of youth and harness the power of the age structure transformation. With fewer children and higher levels of education, more women can transition to paid and higher skilled jobs. Sound economic policies will increase meaningful employment by fostering growth in the skilled workforce. Governments must shift economic priorities into sectors that can absorb today's youth, such as manufacturing, service, and technology. Governments must ensure that women and men have equal opportunity and skills for the workforce. Sound economic policies also promote free trade and open markets, attract foreign and domestic investment, and help grow the private sector. And there must be attention to fostering personal savings and expanding access to economic opportunities for rural and poor communities through microfinance and targeted programs. Finally, good governance practices, including rule of law, stability and security, efficiency and accountability, along with strong and transparent institutions, are essential to harnessing the demographic dividend. Indeed, good governance is a vital ingredient that turns the wheels of progress and engages the power of the demographic dividend. Each of these areas of investment contributes to transforming the possibility of a demographic dividend into the reality of accelerated economic growth. It starts with a change in the population age structure, which hinges on lowering fertility through access to voluntary family planning, improved child health, and education. Investments in health services and education foster a healthy, productive, and skilled workforce. Economic policies foster job growth, trade, and foreign investment, while good governance builds civic participation and confidence in the government and social institutions. Each sector is important for economic development, but no sector alone can transfer the momentum of the age structure transformation into the economic growth of a dividend. All of the gears must work together. As each component fits into place, the gears begin to turn and engage, pushing the nation forward to the promise of accelerated development and prosperity by harnessing a demographic dividend.
Okay, I think this video is more than sufficient to make things very clear, because it may take hours together to explain these things, because one may speak about the changes or the developments which need to be brought into education, other may argue about health, some may argue about the economic measures which need to be adopted by the government, but some may miss out on very important thing, which is governance. Now it says very clearly, if at all this dividend need to be reaped by the societies or the countries or the states, all these four things should work in a very synchronous manner, mutually supporting each other. You just can't expect. In most of the examples which probably we can find from our own country, states, and other things, you'll find we are focused on some of these aspects, but we have not focused on all these four important pillars, I would say, for reaping the economic, the dividend which we expect. Now, more so, we will find that although there are a lot of measures which has been taken by the government both state governments as well as central government, when it comes to education, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to skilling people, because I think the last 15 years we have been focusing a lot on skilling. There have been a lot of committees set up, a lot of institutes have been set up. National Skill Development Council, NSQI. You have got in our Kerala government starting something which is called as ASAP, Additional Skill Acquisition Programs. All these things we have started. But whether we had moved ahead with a very holistic planning is something which we need to think about. Now that is where the speed with which we are going to harness this dividend, that is missing for us. If at all these four things work together in a very synchronous manner with equal efficiency, then things will be very fast. So I just would like to look upon some other things now. So I don't want to really explain these things now. I believe by now you should have understood what is what is demographic dividend. So now I can just say that we all speak about India going through this particular phase now. We have been hearing about this right from the year 2006 onwards. Maybe I still remember in the 2006, I had attended few conferences, few experts from various places came down to our university. That time I was in Kannur University. There was a beautiful lecture which was delivered to us with regard to the economic, the growth which we are going to foresee in the next 15 years. Now 2006, now we are sitting in 2024. I couldn't see the hopes which are given to me in 2006. That is why I'm very skeptical about these things and all. Whether what we speak, whether we are able to do it or not, that is the big question. So then this examining why it does not happen, that's when I really thought about exploring more into these things and all. So then I came to know that it is not one thing which can be implemented and which will give you the dividend, but it is many other things which are interconnected. So that is the thing. So the Indian economy was passing through a phase of demographic dividend in which the share of working population was the highest. We still say we are the youngest population in the world. Most productive age group is with us. But with the falling total fertility rate, the share of elderly population has also started to rise now. So we are facing another problem. Now this, if you just go through some of the statistics, okay, although the slide the video which I showed, it was pointing to only till 2010. So a lot of things have happened after that also. Now you look at this is the statistics till 2018-19. It speaks about the share of age group, that 15 to 29 years of age in the total population in the workforce which is there with us. See the orange line, it speaks about the workforce. The blue line speaks about the population. You will see that the population is slightly increasing, but the workforce is decreasing. Now, what is the reason for that? That leaves another important question. Workforce is decreasing. In real terms, do you think that the younger population is less in the country? No. Population is there, but no work is there. Wherever the skill needs to be applied, that type of job is not there. So there is a change which is happening. So if you look at the youth employment rates till 2017-18, you see that. Again, youth employment rate slightly, it has increased. It has increased when compared to 2011-12. Similarly, because there are few sectors which has opened up, but at the same time, the proportion of population in this segment is rising. So which means, are we able to provide jobs to all the youth after their studies, after they are getting skill, is another big question. The share of youth in the total workforce has constantly been declining despite the fact that their share in the total population still continues to rise. The share of youth in the total population increased from 26%, 26.5% to about 27.2% during 2004-05 and 2018-19. But the share of youth in total workforce declined. from 36 to 33%, which is again, and it's further, it has come down. Now it is 24.3 in the year 2018-19. So what does this point out? This point out the lack of jobs. Our youth is there. It is noted that the share of elderly population has also consistently been rising in India. This means Indian economy is now moving quickly towards an aging society also. So that's what I was pointing out in the morning. So if you don't exploit this opportunity which is there with us in the right sense, probably it may lead to disaster. I think Dr. Anil Chandran also, he was also talking about the same thing. Those who are completing their education and training are not getting jobs. The depth of the labor market crisis would be revealed by the rate of decline in the youth employment. That's why I was pointing out. So, because I think these things are known to you also. When there are a lot of people who are graduate unemployment, postgraduate unemployment. Now we have come to a stage wherein our doctorates are unemployed. Now that is a very alarming situation. We may speak a lot about, but it has got there are many other dimensions also to these things. On one side, we have been increasing the gross enrollment ratios in colleges, schools, and universities. Everywhere we are trying to move it. But there is something which we have compromised also. The quality. So when we look upon at one thing, we are compromising something else. So that is also not giving us any fruits. So the decline in the overall labor force participation rates and an upsurge in youth unemployment have certainly put questions on the process of harnessing demographic dividend. And this advantage which we are having, we all said it will be there till the year 2040 or maybe till at the maximum 2050. But are we doing right things at this point of time to really tap this potential is a big question. So the figures are adverse in nature for us now. It is not a very encouraging situation. Okay, now, what are the ways in which we can harness this demographic dividend? I think that 4 circles which were shown, that equally you should concentrate on education, health, economic welfare measures and other things, plus governance. Unless otherwise you put these things into place, the results will not come. Okay. Now, as a result, there was an upsurge in educated youth unemployment, 18%, and about 24 million today. And hence, the discouraged youth labor force. I'm talking about discouraged labor force. People are qualified, but they don't have the job. So that is leading to discouragement. Then what happens? Social unrest happens. If you watch some of the places where the major social unrest is happening, the root cause of social unrest is unemployment. Nothing else is there. We can't blame on anybody else. We should blame ourselves. Why this is happening? Inequities, inequalities, all these things are spreading now. Now that is where, now if you see, there are a lot of thrust which is given on self-employment programs. During the last 15 years, if you see, initiatives after initiatives were taken by the central government, even state governments. What is the catchphrase? Innovation. Then what happened? There are new things which are happening. Startups. What is the startup thing? See, we are not able to provide jobs now. Now we are told, don't look for jobs. Don't be job seekers. Be job creators. Beautiful mantra. Beautiful slogan also. They say, we will support you. A lot of measures are taken by the government in this regard. I'm not saying the government is not taking, because being a country which is not that rich, and suddenly when this change is happening, the government is trying the level best to really support in whichever way possible. They are giving a lot of incentive schemes, startups are provided, because even in schools, colleges, the Kerala government has started in a big way. What is that? YIP programs. Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, a lot of programs are started. They say, please start, bring in ideas, we will support you. This is the only way. That is one of the ways in which we can increase. Then, vocational education and training. This is again the area where central government has come out with courses, vocational courses. Now, most of the colleges will be running that. What is that course? Deen Dayal, DDU, isn't it? Deen Dayal. Every university, every college has been asked to start vocational courses. Some measures, again, we have to again check whether this is really giving us the intended results or not is the question. We are starting all these things, but is it really giving or not? A lot of measures are taken by the central government as well as the state governments to train youngsters in vocational training. Vocational education is happening in a big way. Third thing, there has to be a strong, one of the ways in which we can address this issue is we need to have a strong immigration policy. Immigration policy, which I mean is, and also remittance policy. Now, immigration policy means we are encouraging, some states are there which are encouraging the youngsters to go abroad. A lot of measures are taken. I think I know some of the measures taken by the Kerala government in this regard also. Kerala government has started a scheme for economically backward communities and also socially marginalized community, a scheme wherein they were funding to go abroad and study. It should not be only the rich people and the well-off people who should go outside, go for higher studies and come back. Rather, it should be people from the marginalized society, marginalized groups, the reserved groups. They have got separate funding for them. I don't know how many of you are aware of that. I remember I came to know about these things when few of my students came to me after they completed the course and said, we are going abroad to UK to study. I told, where from you have got the money? They said the government is giving us. Roughly around 30 lakhs is there, be given to one member to go abroad and study. Again, whether the initiative is good, but is it really giving us the net results? That is a big question to be asked. Next is remittances policy. Now, other countries have also become very careful. Not all countries, if you go to any country, you can't send back money to our country. Most of the Western world, what they do is, you can go there. They want to improve their economy. So what they do is, they invite you there. Come for studies, come for jobs. Then your living expenses are so exorbitant that you won't be able to send even a single paisa back home. You ask somebody who is settled in UK, the quality of life which they have, probably some of them would say it is much more bad, worse than what they have in Kerala. Now, which means a policy, a remittance policy, because countries after countries, every country is very careful. They all want to improve their economy. They are not sitting there. They are not asking our children to come for higher studies there. Don't feel that they are trying to help us. Their economy is in shatters. They don't have young population to study. They are calling us there. And what do? We take huge loans from here, our bank. Sometimes we are unable to pay it back also. We go there. Our entire money is taken by those people. You won't be able to do anything. They say, come, there are certain jobs also given to you. Anyway, they don't have young population. Some menial jobs, serving in the restaurants, taking care of old people. They'll employ you there on an hourly basis. You make some money there, you survive. But in the long run, what is there? Is it really leading to a very secured future for all of you? That is a big question. Today, there is a reverse migration of these youngsters which is happening. I know few of these students who have gone there, who have come back. Their parents are totally, they can't even say to their colleagues and all that the children have come back. The reality is that they don't want to share these things and all. They would have invested a big money sending their children to Canada, UK, other places and all. The quality of the education which they received is much, much worse than they could have got here. A lot of news items you would have seen wherein it is like a parallel college. They run some of the institutes there. We don't know. When they say people have gone to Oxford, they have gone to Cambridge, they have gone to Boston. These are all names of the places. Oxford, Boston, Cambridge are places in UK and US. They are not universities alone. People here feel that he's studying in Oxford University or Cambridge University or Boston MIT. This is not the case. What we say is we are studying in Boston, we are studying in Oxford, we are studying in Cambridge, but these are places there. And there are a lot of buildings lined up, just like our parallel colleges. They run the colleges. Teachers are underqualified. And in teachers also, our own Indians will be teaching there. If you go to the classrooms, you will not find even a single foreigner. You will find our own people who have studied with you here in some of the colleges. They'll all come together. Maybe few students from Pakistan, Philippines, other places and all, they'll be. So in that way, we are not. So see what we is pointing. So these are all very big dangers which we are facing now. We are unaware of these things and all. We say going abroad. Now there is a big problem for youngsters who have migrated to Canada. UK, of course, there was a saturation level because UK is there's a big problem. So this is going to happen in every state, every country. So there is no point in depending on the other countries for our help because we have to create our own opportunities now. Now it says the remittances policy. There need to be some policy measure initiated by sitting across the table by the nations as to how much of minimum money they could send back because there is an older population which is lying here. Youngsters are going abroad. Who will take care of this older population? The parents have sold off everything to send their children abroad to go for higher studies. Now they are alone here. If the remittances also doesn't come properly from abroad, what is going to happen to this older population is a big question mark again. So there are policy decisions to be taken in this regard also. Okay. Role of unregistered micro and small enterprises. Even though when we speak about micro, small enterprises being the, engine of growth, how many of these micro enterprises are registered ones? You will find a vast majority of these are unregistered ones. There need to be some policy, something with regard to, because I think there are schemes which are launched by the government of India. You know that Mudra scheme which was launched by the Prime Minister to the tune of 1 lakh rupees or something you can get. These are all initiatives taken by the government to enhance people to become self-reliant, to start up their own small enterprises to survive. Now there has to be an audit which has to be done as to what has happened, the schemes were launched, whether it is really taking us in the right direction. Now this is where, as a country, we need to constantly audit these things and see whether we are in the right path or not. There are a lot of prospects for infrastructure development. As a country today, India is a vast nation, as we all know. In terms of infrastructure, we are yet to reach the standards of most of the developed nations. It is posing as a constraint for us in terms of exploiting the demographic dividend, because unless otherwise our infrastructure catches up with all these developments, we can't reap the dividend, be it in terms of roads, railways, transportation facilities, institutions, or anything. So all these things need to be coming up along with that. We just can't say that one place will look into the population, remaining things will automatically happen. No. So prospects for infrastructure development, we need to improve that. If at all we have to reap the demographic dividend. Along with this, there has to be a necessity of industrial and employment policies. You know, the industrial policy, earlier days we used to study about industrial policies. Every 5 years there was a policy. Today, there is no time frame. Every now and then you'll find some new policies being circulated by the government, because we are in a situation where we need to make a lot of changes. We need to amend some of the various acts which were formulated in the 50s, 60s and other things and all. There are a lot of changes to be brought in. There need to be some employment policies in these things, because there are a lot of policies which never allowed all the section of the society to get employed under the Industrial Policy Act. So a lot of changes need to be brought in here. The types of jobs, who all can participate in these jobs, all these things need to be brought in. A thorough revamping of all these things need to be brought in. Now, there is a skilling program which has started. I know I was just referring to some of these things earlier because the government of India has started. There is NRA. No, what is NRA? NRA is National Recruitment Agency, which was set up by the present government. I don't know whether today's youngsters are aware of these things at all. National Recruitment Agency, the prime focus was to make aware various opportunities in the central government jobs, the government jobs, to today's youth. As a measure, initially, the government of India, they wanted one person from every university to be a nodal officer. So they will send across whenever the new employment opportunities come in, they will send it across to the college, universities and colleges, and which need to be circulated among all the colleges and among the students. So that was the initial thing. Because I was the nodal officer for first year, I remember 2 years it happened. Afterwards, I'm not getting any mails from anywhere. But I'm getting all these things because if things don't, the work doesn't happen at every level, the results will not happen. You are launching many things, but these things are not fruitfully implemented. So this is the problem. Remaining things we are aware because a lot of skill improvement measures adopted by the it's a good direction, good initiative to actually reap the demographic dividend. But are we doing it in a way which actually benefits the society is a big question. Now, what are the challenges? As I said, unequal access. Unequal access. So I told you the morning that as a country, we are unequal in many respects. As a states, we are unequal. The treatments meted out with states by the central government are also very, in a very unequal way. Very recently, just 2 days back, I was reading a newspaper again, when our Union Minister of Home, Amit Shah, was saying that Andhra Pradesh was supported to the tune of 3.5 lakh crores. Andhra Pradesh as a state alone was supported to the tune of 3.5 lakh crores during the last 1 year. And we in Kerala, we are still saying that in spite of a very huge devastation, we are not given even a single money to rebuild Wayanad. Now, there is a lot of such problems because they may have their own reasons for that. They may have their own reasons because as a state, they may say that you are much, much developed, much, much prosperous than most of the other states. They require a helping hand. You may not require it. You can do it by yourself. All these justifications will come. But this is the reality. Unequal access, unequal opportunities given, everything is unequal. So you find that is because, as I told, we can divide the country into three phases, three brackets, as Dr. Anil Chandra also was saying. The first 7 or 8 developed states, the second rung states, and the third, which is yet to explore. Which we call earlier, the term which was used was Bimaru states. You know what is Bimaru states? Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh. The acronym, the state name of this, the acronym was used to call it as Bimaru states. Uttarakhand, all these things. So there are three different brackets which you will find in India. So that is a big challenge. You can't have a single policy. You can't have a single policy for the entire nation. There is another challenge. While we start many institutes, while we launch various programs, there is an absence of standards for everything. We start vocational courses, we start training courses, we start university. The benchmark, the optimum standard level which is to be maintained. Of course, we are evolving as a country, we are evolving to bring out standards for everything. But the pace at which we are evolving these standards may not be sufficient. A lot of issues, a lot of standards we are setting up. The very standard which universities and colleges follow is NAC accreditation model. Again, we all being part of the system, we all know how far these standards are really helping our students. We are developing these standards, but is it a good, fruitful standards which you are setting up? So that is a big problem which you are facing. Shortage of qualified trainers and assessors. Skilling formal school dropouts. There are a lot of dropouts from schools. Are we doing something on that? Or are we leaving them to drop out and do whatever they wish to do? No, that is again will cause some other social problems. The school dropouts, most of the school dropouts later on turn out to be a big problem to the society. They engage in drug trafficking, they engage in many other things, unlawful activities and all. So we need to do something for that. Shortage of qualified, recognition of prior learning techniques, all these things, inadequate monitoring and evaluation, poor quality education. Education we are expanding. We are expanding like anything, but are we providing quality education is another question mark. Inequalities in education, which I've told you, all these things are big challenges which we are facing at the moment. If at all this economic or maybe the demographic dividend has to be reaped by the society, we need to look into all these things. There is a new slogan which has come. I end with this, which is, in the light of all these demographic changes which we are seeing, the slogan is triple E, we say: empower, educate, and employ. That's the only mantra in front. Empower today's youth, empower them, educate them to the maximum, and also employ them. Just merely empowering them and educating them will not serve any purpose. We need to be able to employ them also. Now, that is where, even still, I think as an institute, as a college, as a university, all of us know we are having big problems. Even the accreditation teams, whenever they come, they are focusing more on placements. Placements. What is happening to our placements? Placement doesn't come by automatically. We need to have industries people or services sector people, everybody coming down to the college, asking for youngsters. We want people, they should say. We are not getting any demand from these places. There are many reasons for that. Some may say the quality is very poor. We go to institutes, but we go to high-rung institutes, they say. Institutes which have very quality people. So there are many such problems with challenges. So it is a big challenge which you have to face. If at all these things need to be brought in, we need to look into all these aspects one after the other. And that's why I said, whenever we are planning for these things, we need to look at the three phases of states which I've told you, which is planning for states where the window will close soon, which Dr. Anil Chandra was saying. States like Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, wherein the time is very less. A separate policy need to be evolved here, which will be very different from the other states. Planning for states where the window will close in a decade, and planning for states where the window is yet to open. So a three-pronged strategy, policy decision. You can't have one policy fitting all the states. That is why we are suffering today. You know that when we were asking about funds from the central government for rebuilding Wayanad, the explanation given to us was like, we don't have such policy. We can't declare a national disaster. It is true. They have graded each of these things. That is why they have formulated one single policy for the entire country. We are not fitting in anywhere there, which means we are unable to get. As per that policy, we are unable to get the funds. That is the, arguments which they are placing in front of us, and they say, sorry, the policy, you don't fit into this particular policy. So the reason is we have a single policy. We can't have that. We need to have different policies depending upon where we stand, where each of these stand. Tamil Nadu also is having the same problem. So with this, I just wanted to conclude. So as I told earlier, the demographic dividend, it is very good, nice to hear all these things. We can all be proud that we are in an era wherein we are poised to grow very fast, all these things, but this growth will happen only if you look into the four important pillars which I have said. That is, if we take care of our education, take care of our health, look for economic measures which is to be supported by the government, and a very strong regulatory framework or a governance system which should be in place, a very ethical, honest governance system. And if you take the case of some of the countries which progress very fast, the best example which comes to my mind is Singapore. Now, how did this country suddenly become one of the most developed country in the world? Is, if you look at it, it's a very short span of time. They did certain things because there is no corruption in Singapore. The punishment for a corruption is very high. It's not that easy. So they put the governance system was really strong. That is the biggest problem which most of the democratic countries with. Governance system should be such that it takes care of everything, because that will manage the other things. So with this, I end. Thank you very much. So if at all you have got something to say, ask or contribute further, you can just contribute. Any supplementary comments? Any supplementary comments? Because or else any clarifications? I think you have got a demographic person also sitting here. He can also highlight on some of these things. Yeah.
Yeah, most of the things that cover everything.
Yes.
What I usually say, but I wanted to say about the marriage issues that we were talking about. See, Kerala has a demographic advantage when we say our sex ratio is favorable to females, but that comes only for the older population. See, if you look at the population of youth, there is a male advantage. So there are not many females actually available. So that becomes a major issue. Yeah, even juvenile sex ratio is favorable to males.
Yes.
So that actually happens because we have a very high life expectancy. 6 years gap is there.
Yeah.
So that is why females live longer, and they have sex ratio advantages. So that is, it's a problem for us, as you rightly said. It's going to be there for a longer time.
Yes.
And one thing that countries like India, is that we have a universal marriage system. Like everybody gets married. It's almost 93-94% people get married, and this figure will come down. Actually, now over a period of time, people who are single, the singlehood will actually increase. That is one that we can
Yes.
see even now, that the figure is increasing. So that's one important thing.
Thank you. So that's a good observation actually. Yeah. I think whenever we speak about these things, I normally urge the student population, because more than what you learn from the textbooks and from the college or university classrooms, there are a lot of things which you can learn from newspapers, from general knowledge, by reading a lot. Because today, internet is a big source of knowledge, provided you know how to really exploit the use of internet. So a lot of things are there. So when I just sat down to prepare something on this particular topic, I could find a lot of literature available. A lot of literature is there, a lot of new things, and there are, because of this particular seminar, I should say that I have read a lot about demography and demographic dividend, other things. And normally it is not something which I read on a daily basis, barring the newspapers and other things which point out. That is why I was able to recollect this most of these things from the newspapers, what I read, because as a management or maybe a management teacher, I'm really concerned about many of these management aspects, how things are going to get managed by the politicians, by maybe the managers who take care of all these things. That is a very important question. And we have got different viewpoints also, but we can't teach them. We have got because whenever we sit down for any of the meetings and other things, and of course some of these concerns we really raise, but unfortunately the system is such that in a democratic system it is always the majority's views which will be taken into consideration. So when you don't have equally, what do you see, I don't put the word knowledgeable, of course I'm forced to say equally knowledgeable people in a board and a meeting, certain things doesn't get passed through. There are certain committees wherein you've got very knowledgeable people who sit down, who appreciate the point of view, but there are, after a certain push, there are certain things which cannot be implemented. So a lot of these things happen. So anyway, that's my experience. Yes. Anything else?
Hello, sir. I'm Dia. With respect to migratory trends in Kerala, do you foresee any kind of danger in Kerala's demographic dividend, especially with the increasing number of senior citizens left back in India and number of closed houses in India? I mean, in Kerala.
See, when you ask me this question, I say, as a layman, I would always say that there is definitely an imminent danger which we can foresee, because there are a lot of, when elderly population are alone at home, definitely it raises a lot of concerns for everybody. And today, if you go to some of the villages, I think the village is Pathanamthitta. There is one village in Kerala where the entire village, you only have elderly population. Their children, nobody is there. Only this elderly people about the age of say 65 and above are staying. So definitely it is a cause of concern. So there is an imminent danger also, because what happened, I'll tell you, that when the floods came in 2018, the difficulty of rescuing these elders, because houses are locked, elderly population not mobile also, to shift them was a big task. And if you look at the mortality rate, it was these people who actually lost their lives. So there is a danger. But I think as a government, as a society, there are a lot of things being done. by the state as well as by the people of the state. So we don't know. In the near future, nobody knows what is going to happen. Things we are putting. That is why we said, as we need to skill the migrant people who are coming from other states. We need to skill them in such a way to take care of the elderly population. It is not only the other jobs which they should be coming for. They should be trained in these things also. And like what is happening in UK and most of the European countries, wherein our people are going and serving the elderly population, there will be a system wherein these people from other states will come and serve our elderly population. So some policy decision will be taken, something will be taken in that direction. What we are doing for our people are doing for the Europeans today is this same thing. Nursing is becoming a big profession for what? It is home nursing. People are taken to the household to care of the elderly population. So same typical policies, because Kerala as a society knows all these things because we have experience from our own children what our children are doing. So I think definitely something will be taken in this direction. Yeah. So thank you very much. Yes. Anything else? Yeah.
ഇനി ആർക്കെങ്കിലും എന്തെങ്കിലും ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ഉണ്ടോ? എനിബഡി? ഇല്ലാന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു അല്ലേ? You have a question.
In connection with the previous question, I would like to ask your take on what is the role of public investment in care sector, care economy, and what is its impact? Does it have any impact on the people migrating from Kerala to, as you said, countries like Canada and all to do this social work or social work related profession? And what is its impact on gender equality specifically? Because increased investment in care sector will, I guess, will empower many women to actually realize their more capabilities and do more effectively their jobs. So what's your take on investment regarding care sector?
See, I'll tell you my experience now. See, as you said, women in Kerala or maybe states like this, they are more empowered. They will become more empowered in near future. At the same time, as we see, there's a new trend which I told in the morning. When it comes to the birth rates, what is actually when women get empowered? I'll give you, because during the last few months I was going through one observation. I'll tell you what is observation. There are a lot of women in Kerala who are not getting married. I took a sample of my own scholars. My own scholars, they're all in their 30s, not getting married. I just asked them, what is the problem? This is across various religion, culture, everything. The one answer which they tell me is they are not able to get the right person. Now, who is the right person? When you go further, they are looking at, because when a girl crosses the age of 27, 28, they become much mature. They look forward for person who is at least having the same qualification, with whom he can at least have a lifelong relationship. They're not willing for that. They are least bothered about childbirth. Now, when you say on one side, when as you get empowered, the balance is already maintained because of these things. So it is not going to explode any further, because there is a self-control mechanism which is getting created. This has happened in most of the Western world also. This is the same thing has happened there also. So as you get empowered, the family system, because that is a danger. Equally, there's a danger also. So I am not here to predict what is going to happen in the near future, but let us see what is going to happen.
Thank you, sir. Any more questions? So shall we wind up the session? So before we come to the end, a word of thanks. എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു സാറ് ഈ സെഷൻ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്തത് സാറ്റർഡേ ദ ഹിന്ദു ന്യൂസ് പേപ്പറിൽ വന്ന റിപ്പോർട്ടാണ്. കായക്കോടി എന്ന സ്ഥലത്തെ അല്ലെ, അപ്പോൾ മാതൃഭൂമി ന്യൂസ് പേപ്പർ 2019 ഒരു റിപ്പോർട്ട് പബ്ലിഷ് ചെയ്തിരുന്നു. Shall I add a point or two? മാതൃഭൂമിയിലെ റിപ്പോർട്ട് 2019 വന്നത്. കോഴിക്കോട് ജില്ലയിലെ കുന്നുമ്മേൽ, നരിപ്പറ്റ, കായക്കോടി, നാദാപുരം ഈ 4 വില്ലേജസിലെ ആളുകളാണ് ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതലും മറ്റ് സ്റ്റേറ്റുകളിൽ നിന്നുള്ള പെൺകുട്ടികളെ വിവാഹം കഴിക്കുന്ന ഒരു ട്രെൻഡ് ആദ്യമായിട്ട് കേരളത്തിൽ നോട്ട് ചെയ്യപ്പെട്ടത്. ബാക്കിയുള്ള സ്ഥലങ്ങളിലും ഇത് ഉണ്ടാവാം, പക്ഷെ ഇതൊരു റിപ്പോർട്ടായിട്ട് മാതൃഭൂമിയിലൊക്കെ വന്നത് ഈ 4 സ്ഥലങ്ങളിലെയാണ്. 2019 റിപ്പോർട്ടിന് ശേഷം നമുക്ക് ഈ 4 സ്ഥലങ്ങൾ മാത്രമല്ല, ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ പോളിസി ആൻഡ് മാരേജ് രസമുള്ള ഒരു ടോപ്പിക്കാണ് പഠിക്കാൻ. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ കസ്തൂരി രംഗൻ റിപ്പോർട്ട് വന്ന സമയത്ത് ഇടുക്കി ജില്ലക്കാർ ആരെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടോ? യെസ്. ഇടുക്കിയിൽ നിന്ന് പെൺകുട്ടികളെ കല്യാണം കഴിക്കാൻ കോട്ടയം ജില്ലയിലെയോ അല്ലെ മറ്റു ജില്ലകളിലെയോ ആൺകുട്ടികൾ തയ്യാറാണ്. പക്ഷെ ഇടുക്കിയിലെ ഒരു പയ്യനെ കല്യാണം കഴിക്കാൻ ഈ നാട്ടിൽ നിന്ന് ഒരു പെൺകുട്ടിയും തയ്യാറായിരിക്കില്ല. ഇനി ആ മല കയറി പോകുമ്പോൾ അവിടെ കസ്തൂരി രംഗൻ റിപ്പോർട്ട് വരുമ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങളെ എല്ലാം ബ്ലോക്ക് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യും? അപ്പൊ അവിടെ ഒരു ഇക്കണോമിക് ബ്ലോക്ക് ആണ്. ഇതേ ഇഷ്യൂ ഈയിടെയും വന്നിരുന്നു. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ അഗ്രേറിയൻ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഏരിയയിൽ കുറച്ച് ഭാഗമൊക്കെ ഫോറസ്റ്റിന്റെ കൈവശം ഇരിക്കുന്നത് തിരികെ നൽകണമെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ ആക്ടിന്റെ പേര് ഞാൻ മറന്നുപോയി. പക്ഷെ ഈ സമയത്ത് ഇതേപോലെ മാരേജ് ഇഷ്യൂസ് വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. പെൺകുട്ടികൾ തയ്യാറായിരിക്കില്ല ആൺകുട്ടികളെ വിവാഹം കഴിക്കാൻ. മറ്റേതെങ്കിലും ഒരു സ്ഥലത്തോട്ട് മാറിക്കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ആ പ്രശ്നം തീരുകയും ചെയ്യും. അപ്പോൾ ഇതൊരു നോൺ ഫാക്റ്റ് ആണ്. ഇനി ഏറ്റവും പോപ്പുലർ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു യൂട്യൂബർ ഉണ്ട്, KL1010 എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള ആ മനുഷ്യൻ. അങ്ങേര് കല്യാണം കഴിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത് കൂർഗിൽ നിന്നാണ് തോന്നുന്നു. അപ്പൊ ഈ നാട്ടിൽ നിന്ന് പെൺകുട്ടികൾ ലഭിക്കാതെ വരുന്ന സാഹചര്യത്തിൽ കൂർഗിൽ നിന്നോ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള പല സ്ഥലങ്ങളിൽ നിന്നുള്ള ആളുകളെ സ്വീകരിക്കുകയാണ് പതിവ്. ദെൻ സാറ് ലാസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു സംഗതി ഉണ്ട്. സാറിന്റെ റിസർച്ച് സ്റ്റുഡൻസ് ഒക്കെ ഓവർ 30 നോട്ട് റെഡി ടു മാരി. അത് ഗാമാഫോബിയ എന്നുള്ളൊരു ഇഷ്യൂ ആണ്. ഞാൻ ഈ ഒരു വിഷയത്തെ കുറിച്ച് കുറച്ച് നാളായിട്ട് ഇങ്ങനെ ആലോചിക്കുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. വാട്ട് എക്സാക്ട്ലി ഇസ് ദിസ്? ആർ ലേഡീസ് റെഡി ടു ഗെറ്റ് മാരീഡ്? അപ്പൊ ഇതൊരു പ്രശ്നമായിട്ടല്ല ഞാൻ നിങ്ങളോട് പറഞ്ഞത്. ഗാമാഫോബിയ എന്നുള്ളൊരു ഇഷ്യൂ ആണ്. കല്യാണം കഴിക്കുന്നതിനെ കുറിച്ച് ഒരു ധൈര്യമില്ലായ്മ, ഒരു ഫാമിലി സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നതോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ലൈഫിനെ കുറിച്ച് ഒരു ധൈര്യമില്ലാതെ വരുന്ന ഒരു ഇഷ്യൂ ആണത്. നിങ്ങളുടെയൊക്കെ മനസ്സിൽ കൂടെ ചിലപ്പോൾ അത് കടന്നു പോകുന്നുണ്ടാവും, പുറത്തേക്ക് വരാത്തതാണ്. ഇനി കുട്ടികളില്ലാത്തത്, അതാണ് നമ്മുടെ ഫെർട്ടിലിറ്റിയുടെ ഇഷ്യൂ. നമ്പർ ഇസ് റെഡ്യൂസിങ്. മാരീഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള സ്ത്രീകൾക്ക് എണ്ണം കുറവാണ്. അതേപോലെ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസം കൂടുതലുള്ളവർക്ക് കുട്ടികൾ കുറവാണ്. ഇഷ്യൂ വേറൊന്നുമല്ല, ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് ടോക്കോഫോബിയ. കുട്ടികളെ വളർത്തുന്നതിലും റേസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതിനെ കുറിച്ചും ഈ പറഞ്ഞതുപോലെ ഉത്തരവാദിത്തം എടുക്കാനായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു താമസം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിനോടുള്ള ഒരു ഭയം, അതിനെയാണ് ആ പേര് ഇവിടെ ഇട്ട് വിളിക്കുന്നത്. ഇതെല്ലാം റീസെന്റ് വന്നിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു ഡിസിഷനാണ്. പക്ഷേ ജനറേഷൻ ആൽഫയ്ക്കും ബീറ്റയ്ക്കും ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു പ്രശ്നം ഉണ്ടാവുമെന്ന് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നില്ല. ദേ വിൽ ഫൈൻഡ് ദെയർ ലൈഫ് പാർട്ട്ണർ ദംസെൽസ്. ഇനി വീട്ടുകാരുടെ പെർമിഷന് വേണ്ടിയൊക്കെ നിൽക്കേണ്ട ആ തലമുറ മാറിയെന്നാണ് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ എവിടെന്നെങ്കിലുമൊക്കെ സ്വന്തമായിട്ട് കണ്ടുപിടിക്കുകയും ലൈഫ് മുന്നോട്ട് കൊണ്ടുപോവുകയും ചെയ്യുമെന്നാണ് എൻ്റെ ഒരു പ്രതീക്ഷ. അപ്പോ സാറിന്റെ എല്ലാവിധ പോയിന്റ്സ് ഞാൻ എന്റെ PG ക്ലാസ്സിലെ കുട്ടികളോട് പറയുമായിരുന്നു, നമ്മൾ എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് PGക്ക് വരുന്നത്. ഞാൻ ആ പിള്ളേരുടെ കോൺഫിഡൻസ് മുഴുവൻ കളയാനായിട്ട് പറയും. PGക്ക് വന്നതിന്റെ ഒറ്റൊരു കാരണം ഇതേ ഉള്ളൂ. PG ഇഷ്ടമായിട്ടുള്ളവരുണ്ടാവും, ഫർദർ ഇക്കണോമിക്സിലേക്ക് പോകാൻ താല്പര്യമുള്ളവരുണ്ടാവും, അതല്ലാത്തവർ ഡിഗ്രിക്ക് ശേഷം പ്ലേസ്മെന്റ് കിട്ടിയില്ല. സോ ഡെഫിനറ്റ്ലി വി ഹാവ് ടു കണ്ടിന്യൂ അണ്ടിൽ യു ഗെറ്റ് എ ജോബ്. ഞാൻ അവരുടെ കോൺഫിഡൻസ് കളയാനായിട്ട് പറയുന്നതാണ്, എങ്കിൽ പോലും അതൊരു ഫാക്റ്റ് ആണ്. ആഫ്റ്റർ PG നമ്മൾ വീണ്ടും അടുത്ത ജോബ് കിട്ടുന്നോടം വരെ അടുത്ത ഒരു പ്രൊവിഷൻ നോക്കുകയാണ്, ഐദർ ഗോ ഫോർ എ PhD ഓർ B.Ed. അപ്പൊ നമ്മുടെ ജോലി സാധ്യതകളുടെ ഇഷ്യൂസ് എപ്പോഴും നിലനിൽക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. സോ പോളിസീസ് ആർ വെൽക്കം. ഇനി നമ്മൾക്ക് ഒരു സ്ഥിരത ഉണ്ടാകുന്ന രീതിയിലുള്ള ഒരു പോളിസീസ് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് വളരെ ഉപകാരമായിരുന്നു. നമ്മൾ ഡെമോഗ്രാഫിക് ഡിവിഡൻസിനെ കുറിച്ച് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ ഇറ്റ് വാസ് ഓഫ് എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ, ഹെൽത്ത്, ഇക്കണോമി ആൻഡ് ഗവർണൻസ്. ഈ 4 പോയിന്റുകളിൽ ഊന്ന് നിന്നുകൊണ്ടുള്ള ഒരു പോളിസിയാണ് നമ്മൾ പ്രതീക്ഷിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ അറ്റ് ദ സെയിം ടൈം നമ്മുടെ നാട്ടിലെ ജനങ്ങൾ എപ്പോഴും മറ്റു സ്ഥലങ്ങളിൽ പോയി അവിടുത്തെ സ്കൂളുകളും കോളേജസും ഹോസ്പിറ്റൽസും ഫില്ല് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു വല്ലാത്ത ശ്രമമുണ്ട്. നമ്മുടെ നാടുകളിലേക്ക് എന്നാണ് പുറത്തു നിന്നുള്ള ആൾക്കാർ ഒരു സോർട്ട് ആഫ്റ്റർ പ്ലേസ് ആയിട്ട് വരിക? ഇപ്പോഴും നമുക്ക് ആഫ്രിക്കനോ അതല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇറാനിയൻ സ്റ്റുഡൻസിനോ ഒക്കെ നമ്മുടെ ചില ഫോക്കസ് പോയിന്റുകളിൽ കാണാൻ സാധിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്, പക്ഷേ എല്ലാ സ്ഥലത്തും കാണാൻ സാധിക്കുന്നില്ല. നമുക്കൊരു റിവേഴ്സ് എഞ്ചിനീയറിംഗ് ഈ ഒരു മേഖലയിൽ പ്രതീക്ഷിക്കണമെന്ന് കരുതുന്നു. ഐ തിങ്ക് സോ. അപ്പോൾ ഇന്നത്തെ ഏറ്റവും ഫ്രൂട്ട്ഫുൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഇത് സെഷൻ നയിച്ച ഡോക്ടർ ജോണി സാറിന് അമലഗിരി BK കോളേജിന്റെ പേരിലുള്ള, ഇക്കണോമിക്സ് ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റിന്റെ പേരിലുള്ള നന്ദി അറിയിക്കുന്നു. താങ്ക് യു സോ മച്ച് സർ. സാറിന് ഒരു സർട്ടിഫിക്കറ്റ് ഓഫ് അപ്രീസിയേഷൻ കൂടിയുണ്ട്. സർട്ടിഫിക്കറ്റ് ഓഫ് അപ്രീസിയേഷൻ നൽകുന്നതിന് വേണ്ടി ഇക്കണോമിക്സ് ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റിലെ പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട കല്യാണി മിസ്സിനെ ക്ഷണിക്കുന്നു. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. and miss.
Now it's time for lunch break. Our next session will begin soon at 1:30.
ലഞ്ച് അറേഞ്ച് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്ന സേവർ ഹോളിലാണ്. ഞങ്ങൾ ഡയറക്ഷൻസ് തന്നോളാം. സേവർ ഹോളിലാണ് നിങ്ങൾക്കുള്ള ലഞ്ച് അറേഞ്ച് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. യു ക്യാൻ മൂവ് ഓൺ. താങ്ക് യു.
പ്രസന്റേഷൻ ലിസ്റ്റ് ആണോ മിസ്സിന് അറിയണ്ടേ? ഓർഡർ ആണോ? നോക്കട്ടെ. ഇപ്പൊ എടുക്കാൻ വന്ന സാറിന്റെയാണോ? ജിപ്സൺ അതിന്റെ കുട്ടികൾ ആ ജിപ്സൺ സാറിന്റെ വേണമെങ്കിൽ ഓൺലൈനാണ്. അത് വേണമെങ്കിൽ രണ്ടാമത് കിട്ടുന്ന വിചാരിച്ചു. അതാണ് ചോദിച്ചു കാണുന്നില്ല. അല്ല ഇതല്ല ഇത് ടിപ്സിന് ഇവിടെ ഇനിയിപ്പം അടുത്ത സെഷൻ എടുക്കാൻ പോകുന്നതാണ്. ഇപ്പൊ സാർ എടുത്ത പോലെ സെഷൻ ഇതിന്റെ പ്രസന്റേഷൻ ഇത് സെഷൻ കാണിയല്ലോ അല്ലേ. ആദ്യം പറ്റ പറ്റുന്നത് ഇതുകൊണ്ട് കോയമ്പത്തൂർ തോന്നുന്നത് എന്താ പറയുക ആദ്യത്തെ ആൾ ആബ്സെന്റ് ആണ് ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത്. അതായിരിക്കും ആ പിള്ളേരുടെ ആയിരിക്കും ഇത് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എനിക്ക് ഇത് തന്നെ. രണ്ടാമത് റിയാസസ് ബേബി ബ്രിഡ്ജിങ് ക്ലാസ് 2 ബ്രിഡ്ജിങ് ക്ലാസ് ഇവിടെ കിട്ടിയില്ല. ഉണ്ടല്ലോ ഐസാണല്ലോ. മൂന്നാമത്തോട്ട് പറയട്ടെ. ഞാൻ ഓടാക്കി തരാം. അതിനിടെ കേട്ടില്ലേ മൂന്നാമത്തെ ഇത് കേട്ടിടുമല്ലോ. അല്ല മൂന്നാമത്തെ പേര് കഴിയുമല്ലോ. മൂന്നാമത്തേത് ക്വാളിറ്റി ഇന്റർവെൻഷൻ. 4 യൂട്ടിലൈസിംഗ് സസ്റ്റൈനബിൾ. വിനീത സ്റ്റഡി ആൻഡ് ആക്സസ് 5 ആൻമരിയ. 6 ഐരി മരിയ. 6 ഐറൻ മരിയയുടേത് ജെൻഡർ ഇക്വാലിറ്റി ഇൻ എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് ജെൻഡർ ഇക്വാലിറ്റി ഇൻ എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ. അതുപോലെ ആൻമരിയ കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ടൈറ്റിലാണോ? ആദ്യത്തെ എൻജിഒ, 2 ബ്രിഡ്ജിങ് ക്ലാസ് റൂം, 3 ക്വാളിറ്റി ഇന്റർവെൻഷൻസ് എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ, 4 കാറ്റലൈസിങ്, 5 സ്റ്റഡി ആൻഡ് ആക്സസിങ് ജോബ് പ്ലേസ്മെന്റ്, 6 ഡെമോഗ്രാഫിക് എൻവയോൺമെന്റ് സസ്റ്റൈനബിലിറ്റി. അടുത്ത ജെൻഡർ ഇക്വാലിറ്റി എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ എംപ്ലോയ്മെന്റ്. അത് നമ്മുടെ ഐറൻ മരിയ നമ്മുടെ വീട്ടിലുണ്ട്. ഷിവനായും അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടാണ് ഇട്ടേക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ അതിന് മുമ്പ് തന്നെ ഇട്ടിരിക്കുന്നത് മറ്റേ കൊച്ചിന്റെ അപ്പുറം നമ്മൾ എടുത്തത് അല്ലേ. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് ആക്സസ് ടു, അത് കഴിഞ്ഞാണോ ജെൻഡർ ഇക്വാലിറ്റി വന്നിരിക്കുന്നത്. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് ആക്സസ് ടു ദി ക്വാളിറ്റി എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ്റെ. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് ജെൻഡർ ഡൈമെൻഷൻ. അത് നമ്മുടെ ദീപയുടേതും താരാമിസിൻ്റെതും അത് നോക്കണ്ട. ഓക്കെ. അപ്പം മിസ്സിന് ഏതാ വേണ്ടേ? വേണ്ടത് ബ്രിഡ്ജിങ് ക്ലാസ് റൂം അല്ലേ, ദിയാടേതല്ലേ വേണ്ടേ? ഇതിനകത്തില്ല മിസ്. അത് ദിയാടെ ഇട്ടിട്ടല്ലേ നമ്മുടെ ഡിജിറ്റലല്ലേ. രാവിലെ വിട്ടായിരുന്നല്ലോ അല്ലേ. എന്റെ മെയിലൂടെ തുറക്കാൻ പറ്റുമോ? സിവിൽ ഓപ്ഷൻ ഉണ്ടോ? നാഷണൽ സിവിൽ നാഷണൽ ഇതിനാണ് ചെയ്താൽ പോരെ. ഇവരെ വെൽക്കം ചെയ്യുന്നു ഇങ്ങനത്തെ ആൾക്കാരെ രണ്ടുപേരും ചേർന്നുള്ള അപ്ലിക്കേഷൻ വെൽക്കം ചെയ്യുന്ന പറഞ്ഞ ആളായിരിക്കില്ലേ അല്ലേ ചേക്കും ഓഫാക്കണ്ടല്ലോ അങ്ങനെ പോയാൽ പോരെ ഓഫാക്കുമ്പോൾ ഇവർ ഓണാക്കാൻ സമയം എടുക്കും നെറ്റ്വർക്ക് ഓഫാക്കി തോന്നുന്നു അല്ലേ നെറ്റ്വർക്ക് ഓഫാക്കി ഓണാക്കണ്ടായിരുന്നു ഓണല്ലല്ലോ പറ്റേണ്ടത് ഇങ്ങനെ സംഭവം ആ ജിപ്സിൻ്റെതാ ഇത് പ്രസന്റേഷൻ അല്ലേ ആ പക്ഷെ ഓഫ് ആക്കിക്കോ മോനെ ഓഫ് ആക്കിക്കോ ചോറിനാൻ പോരെ ജിപ്സിന്റെ ഓൺ ആക്കി വരുമ്പോഴേ കാണാവുന്ന രീതിയിലുള്ള